Hello, welcome to Ask Rabbi Spivak. I'm Rabbi Yaakov Spivak, and today's question comes from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Dear Rabbi Spivak, how do you explain the biblical account of the world being created in 6 days? Is that possible? Yes, it is possible, but you have to understand what the 6 days really were. The world makes a number of assumptions at the time of creation that are actually not true upon deeper investigation. For instance, in day one where God said, "Let there be light," everybody assumes that light is the light of the sun. The only problem is that the sun wasn't created until the 4th day. Question, where does that light come from? The sages, the rabbis answer that was the special light called the Or HaGanuz, the hidden light. A light hidden for the benefit of the righteous in years to come. And this light would also appear at the historical time of Hanukkah. The Or HaGanuz lit the world for the first 3 days. And then when the sun was created on the 4th day, the Or HaGanuz disappeared. It became hidden. Now, what does it mean the first 3 days? If you understand that daytime or time itself is determined by the relationship between the sun to the earth. Let us say that this is the earth and this is the sun. Now, the earth is going to turn. And when it turns on its axis and comes back to the point that it was in the beginning, scientists and men of knowledge divided that into 24 parts, which they called hours. And they said that it took 24 hours for the earth to turn on its axis and come back, and that's how time was determined. But if there is no sun, if the sun drops out and the earth is turning, there's no reference point. It's turning to what? Nothing. So the first 3 days, the earth had no reference point for time, and therefore time could have taken millions of years. God said this is a day. But did he mean a day in reference to the sun-earth relationship? Or did he mean a day in terms of a part of time that he divided that could have been millions of years? Therefore, 6 days, not necessarily taken literally. Point number 2, we are told in the Bible that Ki elef shani b'yinecha kiyom etmol, that 1,000 years in God's eyes is like yesterday. Now, if 1,000 years in God's eyes is like yesterday, that means that each day could have been 1,000 years. And God was talking in terms of his perspective and not the perspective of mankind that would be 24 hours. So again, the 6 days didn't necessarily have to be 6 days of 24-hour days. They could have been 6 God days, and only God knows how long that was. And then there comes the other issue, that God creates worlds and he destroys them. The sages tell us, HaKadosh Baruch Hu boneh olamos u'machrivam. This is not the first world that God created. There were worlds before us. And who knows that these worlds, or the earth could have been created from parts of these worlds, which could have been thousands of years old. And if that was the case, then when we look at it today and we see something that's marked for 1,000 years, or millions of years, and we say, how could this have been created in only one day? It looks like something that developed over over a long time in its original state, we understand that it could have been from the previous worlds that God created. And then finally, there is the concept from the Ramban, Nachmanides, who says that what happened in Maaseh Bereshit, in the story of the creation of the world, is really much deeper than would appear. And he also says that those charged with its understanding, those Mekubalim, those mystics, those who have the esoteric concepts, says the Ramban, are required to withhold its ultimate meaning. And therefore, if one tries to understand the concept of the creation of the world in terms of simple sentences with the meaning that people have assigned with them over the years, they are going to be incorrect. Because at least in Genesis, these rules do not apply. And there is a whole hidden meaning into the creation of the world, says the Ramban. So the answer is, was the world created in only 6 days? Not necessarily 6 days in which we know, but 6 parts which have deep meaning. And the more you study, the more you'll know how much you need to know. And one day, maybe we will be privileged to grasp at least some of what is going on in Maaseh Bereshit, in the study of the creation of the world. I'm Rabbi Yaakov Spivak. This is Ask Rabbi Spivak. Seid gesund lehitraot, Shalom al Yisrael. And most of all, my friend, Chazak.